no cards today. We're going to do car talk instead. I have got to get me one of those things that sits on my dashboard and holds my phone. So I'm going to put you down. It's just something that I was really thinking about yesterday when I got off of work. That, through this process of ego death and self-discovery, awareness, and the spiritual journey in a whole, I've said some things about, in the course of, over 700 videos, and I'm going to say over 700 because I have videos on TikTok that weren't even on my YouTube channel. My relationship with my mom. I've talked about that relationship and how, for a long time I didn't even like her. I didn't even feel like we were related at all. Like, it was a very strange relationship. And I always used to tell her sister that my grandmother, their mom, was more like a mom to me, and that both of the girls, my aunt and my mom, were more like sisters. I never actually felt connected to my mom in a way that she was my mom. And I think part of that was because my dad raised me for part of my life. But over the years I've taken some things for granted. One of those being that, when my parents got divorced, my mom did want us. I always used to tell people that she didn't. She chose my stepdad over us kids, but the fact of the matter is that a couple weeks after my mom left, she came and got me and my brothers in the middle of the night and drove us down 444 on my clock, 7:47. She came down to North Carolina and deposited us with my grandparents to keep us from my dad. And then my dad and grandfather, his dad, got in a car and they in turn drove down here to get us back. And my mom's parents, my grandfather specifically, were able to talk my dad down, and we stayed with my grandparents for like a month while the whole divorce thing was happening. And then we came back to Pennsylvania for the custody hearing and whatever. So I remember a little bit of that, but anyway, so through I've had to process feelings of abandonment and not being worthy of my mom's love, because my mom, everything's transactional with my mom, but I don't think that she ever meant for it to be that way. It's just, she's a business person, and she kind of treated me a little bit like a business transaction because I was the oldest daughter and I was responsible. I had to be like the responsible one. I had to be the responsible one. I took care of my brothers. I, was the oldest daughter. That's it. I was the oldest daughter. I had to be the responsible one. So when I got pregnant at 17, no, it was my second pregnancy because my first pregnancy miscarried. But when I got pregnant again, Mom bought me a trailer in a trailer park, and I had to pay her back. There was always an insurance bill in the refrigerator that I was responsible for. I started working in high school, and the day that I graduated high school, my stepdad had just got an air conditioning unit for his little man cave in the second kitchen in our house. And, second kitchen, second living room. He had just bought an AC unit for up there, and I wanted an air conditioner. My mom was going to buy me an air conditioner, but my stepdad was like, she needs to get a job or move out, and it was agreed upon. Now, there's some things that I've learned through the course of the last 23 years being a mom. One of those is that when you as a woman are in a relationship, your partner comes before your kids. When your kids move out, the only person that you have left is your partner. And I have seen my mom and stepdad's relationship get a whole lot closer over the last maybe 15 years. She does her thing, he does his thing, but they do a lot of things together these days. And, you know, the kids can't come first. You have got to put yourself and your partner first, because when the kids move out, who do you have left? So I've learned that. I've, you know, learned that you can't coddle your kids. You've got to teach them responsibility, and sometimes teaching them responsibility means pulling away and letting them figure it out on their own. You know, and over the course of learning all of these things, and then going through my ego death and dealing with that, and I've had to learn how to set boundaries. And sometimes, where am I going with this? In the process of learning how to set boundaries, I've lost people, but the people who have stayed, the ones that I've had backlash and arguments with, and people that should have walked out of my life that stayed, my mom, my ex-husband, you know, my relationship with them is stronger now than it's ever been. And honestly, my relationship with my mom at this point, I may not talk to her every day, but Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. Thanks for staying around and dealing with me while I've been going through all this nonsense. But I feel like I'm no longer an employee of hers, and now I'm a member of her family, and she's treating me more like a daughter instead of an employee, if that makes sense. So, you know, but it took me a really long time to get over my fear. Like, I was really afraid of my mom. Like, really afraid of my mom. I mean, on the day that I gave birth to my first son, it was such a fast, intense labor because they induced me. The nurse was coming in and adjusting. They had a sonar and, a sonar for heartbeat, and there was another device on my belly. And they had me strapped in, and I really couldn't move or get comfortable because they were monitoring the baby's heartbeat and movement. And one of those monitors was checking my contractions, because they had induced me. So they were checking all of these things, and I had monitors on my belly. And after they broke my water, the labor got so intense, and a nurse came in to readjust these belly monitors. And I was like, you need to get the fuck off me and leave me alone. And before I could even get that sentence out of my mouth, my mom said, Naoma Christine, and I shut the fuck up. And the nurse was so impressed by that, but I don't think that she understood at the time that that was a fear response for me, because, you know, both my parents were unhealed, and I was raised in not less than loving conditions. My parents both loved me, I believe that, but they had a style of raising kids that was very old school, I guess. I've had bloody noses more than one time from both of my parents, let's just say it that way. So the relationships that needed to be strengthened have gotten stronger, even with my ex-husband. Like, it's true. He and I had, well, technically we're still married, but our relationship over the last, Sai's getting ready to turn 19, so 17 years, has sucked. Every phone call ended in a fight. Every phone call ended in him lying. You know, like it just not healthy. You know, now we're able to sit down and talk to each other, and I'm able to talk to him. But I've realized that every man from my past that I felt like I was supposed to reconnect with is severely unhealed, and I put myself into a fix-it, like a Mr. Fix-It role. And it's not my responsibility to fix anything. It's not my responsibility to fix anyone. And I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that you're gonna seem like, you know, well, you're learning to set these boundaries and find out exactly who you are and find out what you will and won't tolerate through the shadow work, through the reprogramming. Because that's essentially what's happening. You've woke up inside the matrix, and now you need to reprogram your brain. People are going to fall away, but the ones who stick with you and deal with you when you're batshit crazy and you're learning how to set boundaries and how to love yourself, the ones who stay, those are the relationships that are going to carry you throughout the rest of your life, whether it be friends, biological family, found family. The ones who stay are going to be integral, and those are going to be the ones that you in turn help heal. That's how this generational curse breaking thing works. As you heal, people will see your healing. They'll start to wake up to your healing, and they'll start looking at themselves, and they'll start changing. And that's how this works. So I don't know what else I can say about that, but I love you. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.